Welcome to class. This is a 30-minute flow for when your back or your hips are feeling stiff and tight. You'll just need 2 blocks and a blanket for this class. We may use a strap at the end, but you could get by without it if you don't have one. So go ahead and grab your props and let's get started on our backs. Grab one of your blocks. You can set everything else off to the side for now, but grab one and we're going to set up in bridge over a block. And depending on how you're feeling today, you may like the block on the lower height or maybe the middle height, but choose either one of those two. Try not to go up to the highest height quite yet. Again, this is for when your back is feeling kind of tender, so we're going to lean on the gentler side. So you'll place your block right beneath the sacrum, and once you're relaxed onto the block, you should feel really stable, not like you're rocking forward or backwards. If you are, move your block around until you find that big bony plate at the base of your spine. Then release your arms down by your side. Give a little space away from your body so that you can breathe into the chest. And go ahead and close the eyes. Start to take some deeper breaths in and out through the nose, preparing for your brief practice, but coming with the intention of addressing anything that might be going on in the body. So giving yourself this next 30 minutes to pay particular attention to any pain, any stiffness, and just asking the body what it needs, where it needs breath, where it needs to move. Allow your breath to slow down. And feel your breath travel all the way to the sacrum, to that place where the block is resting, or where you're resting on the block, rather. And feel as though when you inhale, you can kind of balloon your sacrum or your low back down into the block as your belly lifts. And then as you exhale, soften the muscles around the sacrum. Notice if there's anything holding particularly tight on either side. Usually if our low back is feeling tight, we'll hold some extra tension maybe in the waist or maybe in the glutes or inner thighs just to protect our low back instinctively. So just notice where that's showing up today for you. Keep breathing down into the sacrum and set your intention for your practice. What it is maybe that you're healing in this flow, or what it is that you're wanting to address or just pay closer attention to. Breathe your intention all the way down to the sacrum, into the hips. And start to notice what's going on in the hip flexors and the thighs, so the whole front of the legs and the front of the hips. Notice if there's some extra gripping there, or if there's something that you can soften a little bit but still maintain your breath. And then from there, noticing the knees, the shin bones, the tibia, your ankles, and then feeling your feet grounded down onto the mat. Not pushing too much, but finding that even amount of support coming up from the ground as your weight collapses down into it. Take just 2 more breaths before we start moving. And then on your next inhale, push into your feet. Start to activate your glutes and slowly lift up off the block, just an inch or so. Remove the block and stay up in your bridge. So this isn't the highest bridge ever. It's kind of like a middle bridge. So first feel for your feet grounding down, and then feel for your tailbone reaching up towards your knees. Find some energy between the inner thighs, magnetizing the inner leg lines and the knees towards each other. And find 2 more deep breaths down into the sacrum, just like we were on the block. By noticing the difference now with a little bit of activity, starting to build just a tiny bit of warmth in the glutes, maybe the hamstrings. On your next exhale, slowly roll your spine down, letting your hips land last on the mat. And then once your hips land, let your hips rest and start to roll your head side to side. So letting the lower spine be completely neutral and rested. And find your biggest range with your chin and neck that's comfortable. So you shouldn't be tensing. Jaw shouldn't be clenching. It should feel pretty relaxed. So if you do start to clench, then know that you just push the range a little too far and back up. Two more times each way. And then bring your head back through center. Apanasana. Pull your right knee into your chest. Just avoid your rib cage, but pull the knee in towards the armpit. So you're still kind of hugging in towards midline. Make sure that your grip in your hands is super tight so that you can really use the strength of your biceps to pull and compress this hip joint. And then on your next exhale, start to walk your left leg long on the mat. But make sure that your toes continue to point up towards the ceiling. So if your toes are pointing out to the side, then stay where you can, keep pointing the knees and toes up. Let your low back and your sacrum stay pressing down onto the mat, still using the strength of your arms to pull your knee in. And then take a big breath into your chest. And as you exhale, pull even tighter, compressing into that ascending colon. And stay really active through your left leg, like you're trying to reach your inner leg line or your inner ankle away from your hip. Draw breath down into your left hip flexor. One more breath in. And on your exhale, bend your left knee, plant your left foot back on the floor. Take your right ankle across your left knee for figure 4 with traction. Bring the base of your right palm into your right hip crease and press actively your femur bone away from your hip. If it feels good to turn your chin to the left as you push down and away with your right hand, then you can add that as an option. But with your palm in your figure 4 traction, feel for pushing away from you, but also up and out of the hip. So I'm pushing straight down and then drawing my hand kind of up towards the knee to create a little more space. Draw your breath down into that hip joint. Last breath in. And exhale, release your right foot down. Switch sides with Apanasana. So pull your left knee in, interlace your fingers right below the knee, and then pull the knee in towards your armpit. Now you have the option to start to walk your right leg long on the mat, again, making sure that your knee and your toes can point straight up towards the ceiling. If they do start to turn out a little bit or it gets pretty tight, then you can stay right where you're at and focus on turning the knee up so you're keeping the leg pretty active. Use the strength of your biceps to pull that knee into your chest. And feel for letting the neck relax down and the space between the shoulder blades can relax down as well. Take breath down into right hip flexor. One One more breath in. And as you exhale, bring your right knee back in and plant your right foot on the floor. Take left ankle across the knee for figure four with traction. Base of your left palm comes right into the hip crease as low as you can get it. Use your hand and the strength of your entire arm, if you can lock out your elbow. Push the femur bone away and then up and out of the hip, like you're tractioning up towards your left knee. Again, if it feels good to add the turn of the chin just to include the neck in this stretch, you can add that on as an option. Feel for space being created in between your femur bone and your pelvis. And let breath kind of fill up that space. One more breath in. And then release left foot to the floor. Separate your feet so that they are mat distance apart and take a couple windshield wipers. Letting your knees drop one way and then the other. It feels good to kind of warm up and keep moving quickly with these windshield wipers. You can pick up the pace. But if slower is feeling better, then slow it down. Good, easy supine twist. So bring your knees in towards your chest and roll all the way onto your right side. When you're on your right side, stack your hips and knees, and then bring your right hand to your left outer knee. Extend your left arm overhead, and start to turn your chest open, but keep your left shoulder wrapped. So you're turning more from the ribs and the belly than you are from the shoulders. Take an inhale into your left set of ribs and your left side waist. Now as you exhale, let your left set of ribs fall open. Last breath in this twist. Exhale as you unwind, come back onto your back, and then do the other side. Roll over to the left, stack your hips and knees. Left hand to the right outer knee, and right arm overhead. Wrap that right shoulder, and then take an inhale breath into right ribs. As you exhale, let the ribs turn open. Last breath here. Exhale to unwind. And then let's press ourselves up to seated, and then come into hands and knees. From hands and knees, step your right foot forward, and then rise up to a low lunge or a box-shaped lunge. I'm gonna grab my blanket, and you can grab yours as well if you need a little extra padding under your back knee. So come to low lunge with the right foot forward. Make sure your hips are over your left knee. And then inhale your left hand up to the sky. Keep your right hand on your hip and take a side bend over to the right. But as you're bending to the side here, make sure your hips stay level and you're telescoping your ribs up. So the bend to the side might be a lot less than the lift of your ribs. Feel for breathing into the lower left side of your body. Easy twisting lunge. Bring left hand down to the mat. The outer edge of to the outer edge of your mat in line with your right foot, and extend your right arm up to the sky. Feel for leveling your pelvis, and then as you inhale, telescope your ribs forward. As you exhale, lean back and slowly turn your gaze up towards your top hand. If you need a little more space, you can even walk your left hand off of your mat to help you lean back even more. Low lunge, release your right hand and rise up back to your box-shaped lunge, but this time walk your right foot a little more forward so that your hips can come forward. Inhale your arms up to the sky. Exhale, cactus your arms and lift your chest up as you ground your left knee down. Inhale, hands to the sky. Exhale, bring hands to your hips and back your hips up so they come over your left knee for a half split. Walk your right heel forward and then turn your toes up towards your face. This is when you can grab your 2 blocks. And I like to start on the higher height with hands under shoulders or hands a little bit in front of shoulders. So that way you can work first on a flat spine and leveling your pelvis in your half split. So there's always room to keep going farther, but this allows you to have a pretty good foundation in your spine. So inhale to your collarbones, spread the collarbones wide, and feel for extending the crown of your head forward as you draw your right toes back. Keep your right foot super active. Two more breaths down into your low back. Good. Bend your right knee, plant your right foot on the floor, and then walk both blocks inside of that right foot. Heel toe it out to the side so you have a little room for lizard pose. You can bring your blocks down to a lower height or eliminate them completely if you don't need them. And you have an option to come down onto the forearms or stay on the hands, but wherever you end up, collarbones stay pretty broad. Inhale into your heart space. And as you exhale, hug your right thigh and right knee in towards your body. So you're trying to connect right knee and right armpit. Continue to draw your breath down into the sacrum. And if you're on your forearms, come back up onto your hands. You can walk your blocks off to the side for now. And then step your right foot back. Find downward facing dog. Right away in your down dog, start to bend into your knees, one and then the other. Walking out the legs, continuing to move. Make sure your shoulders are wrapped and your hands are super active as you tilt your sit bones up to the sky, but let your knees and your ankles stay really mobile. Keep moving. Couple more times on each side, still pumping through the knees and ankles. And then shift forward, find plank, bend your knees slowly, coming down towards tabletop. And then let your knees relax all the way down. Low lunge, step your left foot forward and rise up to a box-shaped lunge. Hip stack over back knees. Bring your left hand to your left hip and reach your right arm up with a wrapped shoulder. Take an inhale to telescope your ribs, and then as you exhale, bend over to your left just gently enough so that you can feel a little bit of a stretch along the right side body. Breathe into your right hip. Continue to telescope the ribs the entire time here, using your inhale breath to lift, and your exhale breath to ground your right knee and shin down. Easy twisting lunge. Bring your right hand to the outer edge of your mat in line with your left foot, or even off of your mat for more space. And then inhale your left arm up to the sky. Level your pelvis and hug your left leg in towards the midline. Inhale, telescope your ribs forward. As you exhale, turn your gaze up towards your top hand as you start to lean back. Breathing into left ribs, left waist. Still letting left hip feel heavy towards the ground. Release from your twist and rise back up to your lunge. Walk your left foot forward so that you can lean your hips forward for Anjaneyasana. As your hips come forwards, keep drawing your sit bones down or your tailbone down towards the ground, working to maintain a level pelvis. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale, cactus your arms. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, find your blocks for half split. Bring your hips back over your knee, and then turn your left toes up. Again, I like to grab my blocks on their highest height. That's up to you. If you like blocks or no blocks. Start to turn your left toes up towards your face as you wrap your left hip down, and keep reaching collarbones forward. Inhale all the way down to sacrum. Two more big breaths. Keep energizing spine forward. Good, and then release your split. Plant your left foot down, but walk both hands or blocks inside of your left foot. You can heel toe your left foot and knee out to the side if you need a little more room. And then option to stay on the hands or come down to the forearms for your lizard pose. Inhale again to broaden the collarbones, same thing as your half split. And then exhale, hug your left knee and thigh in towards your body. Try to connect left knee to left armpit. Although everything may feel a little tighter, including your breath, still finding that expansiveness wherever you can, even if it's just a little bit of expansion. If you're on your forearms, start to come up onto the hands. Set your blocks out to the side and step back to down dog. Again, bending into alternating knees. Continuing to move in this down dog. And as you bend knees, you're working just on lifting sit bones up. We don't really care about heels making connection to the ground. We don't really care about the knees being straight. It's more about starting to mobilize the pelvis and the sacrum. Couple more. And then slowly shift forward. Let your knees come down to the mat with control. Good. Have a seat off to the side. You can set your blanket and your blocks away for now. And come into half straddle with the left knee bent. Right hand out to the side for support. Bring your left arm up and overhead. Wrap the shoulder so that the elbow is facing forward. And then inhale, puff the left ribs up. As you exhale, option to bend into your bottom elbow, seeing if you can come down onto that forearm possibly. You can always support with a block if you're a little bit in the in-between, if you're hovering just an inch or so off the mat. And although we might not be touching our right toes, the energy of your left fingertips are reaching that way as if you're trying to pull your hand and your arm away from your left hip crease. Let your head and jaw relax. Breathing down into the left hip, into the left waist. Use your inhale breath to help you turn your chest up towards the sky. And as you exhale, round down for a forward fold, so your hands start to frame your right leg. Inhale to telescope the ribs and reach your collarbones towards your toes. And exhale to relax into your fold. Let your chin come towards your chest. Staying at whatever height is comfortable in your body and allows you to take really big breaths. On your next inhale, walk yourself back up to a seat and we will switch sides. Extend your left leg, bend your right knee. Left hand out for support. Wrap your right shoulder as right arm comes overhead and then puff your right set of ribs up towards the ceiling as you start to bend over towards your extended leg. You can work on walking that supporting hand closer to your foot or dropping the elbow down towards the mat. Again, your blocks are always available to you, but stay at a height where you feel that your left hip is grounded and you can kind of energize or turn even your ribs up towards the ceiling. So there's not this energy of collapsing down towards the ground, staying pretty open through the waist. Staying super active as you energize fingertips towards your toes. Just a couple more breaths. Forward fold. Use your next exhale to release your right hand down to frame your left leg. Inhale as you telescope collarbones towards your toes. And exhale, fold and round. Inhale, walk yourself back up. Bend your left leg, and let's come back onto our back. Make sure that your strap and one block is within reach for you. Everything else you can set off to the side unless you know you're going to want your blanket for Shavasana. So come down onto your back. You can grab your strap. You may not need it. And if you don't have one, you can definitely make do without it. So extend your right leg up towards the sky. If you have no strap, you're just going to grab behind wherever you can reach. So it might be the thigh, the calf, or up towards the toes. If you have a strap, place it around the ball of your foot. And then grab both straps into your right hand. Flex your foot so that your right toes are coming down towards your face, and then start to use the strength of your arm and the heaviness of your shoulder to pull your toes over your shoulder. If your low back says it's okay, you can start to walk your left leg long on the mat, but if that causes any pain in the back, then definitely keep your foot planted. Wherever you are, your sacrum is grounded down, still breathing space into the sacrum. Keeping your foot flexed up towards the ceiling like it is, and your strap in your hand, start to bend your knee out towards your armpit for Have Happy Baby. If that left leg is still extended, you can bend it now so that you can balance your sacrum on the mat as you use your arm and your elbow to pull your or your right knee down towards the mat. Same therapeutic breath. Down into low back, down into sacrum, asking for space. Good, go ahead and release. Plant your right foot down and switch sides. Strap around the ball of the left foot. And again, if you have no strap, you can take peace finger around the big toe or grab behind your calf or thigh. Start to use the strength of your arms and your shoulders to pull your left leg in towards the body, creating a pretty good amount of sensation. Right leg can extend long on the mat, or if that causes tenderness in your low back at all, just stay right where you are. Half happy baby. Start to bend your knee now, foot still flexed up towards the ceiling. And draw your left knee down to the space right outside of your torso, aiming knee towards armpit. Right leg can be used as a counterbalance to help keep your sacrum really grounded. And then release. You can set your block off to the side, or your strap off to the side rather, and grab for your block. We're going to come back into that modified bridge. Block on lowest height or middle height. Once you've rested down on your block, feel free to close the eyes. Coming back full circle to that spot we were in right at the beginning of class. And scanning the body for stiffness, pain, tightness, tension. Noticing where it is, maybe what has shifted. And then keeping your shoulders and your neck as relaxed as you can. Gently lift your hips off of the block. Slide the block out and off to the side. And gently lower hips. Finding your final resting pose now, Shavasana. And if there is any tenderness in your low back still, or pain, so much so that you can't lay comfortably on your back, you can take your blanket, roll it up, and place it beneath your thighs or beneath your knees to give a little relief to the hips. And in whatever version of Shavasana you're in, make sure to separate your legs super wide so your toes can fall out. And bring arms out to the side so you have lots of space across the chest. If your eyes aren't already closed, let them settle closed. Release any tension you might be holding in the jaw or between the teeth. And let breath be natural. Let it flow in and out without resistance, without any changing of its course, just letting it naturally flow. Start to create some bigger breaths down into your belly. Slowly adding some movement to fingers and toes. Eventually adding a big overhead stretch with the arms, letting your back arch. And bend your knees, roll into a fetal position on either side, letting yourself rest there for a moment. And then use your hands and press yourself up to a seat, trying to keep neck relaxed as possible. Coming into a tall seat and noticing what the energy of the spine is after you've spent a little time practicing. Bring your hands together in front of the heart, sending gratitude and healing into your body. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope your back feels a little bit more mobile and flexible, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste.